The rain fell softly on the cemetery grounds as I stood at the back of the gathering, watching my mother's casket being lowered into the ground. My sister Victoria, always the center of attention, stood at the front, dramatically dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. She'd arrange everything: the expensive mahogany casket, the elaborate flower arrangements, the catered reception at her mansion, everything except paying for it. I'm Elena Matthews, 34, and according to my sister, I'm the family disappointment. The quiet one who just works in finance while she built her luxury skincare empire, Matthews Beauty. What Victoria didn't know was that I'd spent the last decade building something of my own, a private equity firm specializing in acquiring and transforming struggling businesses. Would anyone like to say a few words? The minister's voice brought me back to the present. Victoria stepped forward, her designer black dress probably costing more than the entire funeral. Our mother was everything to us, she began, her voice trembling perfectly. She always supported our dreams, especially mine. She was my first investor in Matthews Beauty, believing in me when no one else did. I fought the urge to scoff. Mom hadn't invested. She'd remortgaged her house to fund Victoria's startup, a fact my sister conveniently forgot once success came. After the ceremony, people gathered at Victoria's house. I hesitated before entering, knowing what awaited me inside. The whispers, the judgmental looks, the unspoken accusation. Why hadn't I helped with Mom's medical bills? The truth was, I had tried. I offered to pay for experimental treatment in Switzerland, but Victoria had convinced Mom it was a waste of time. Elna doesn't know what she's talking about, she'd said. She works for others while I built my own empire. I walked into the reception, immediately feeling out of place among Victoria's wealthy friends and business associates. My simple black dress from Nordstrom stood out among their designer labels. Elna, Victoria's voice cut through the murmur of conversations. So nice of you to finally show up for Mom. I turned to face her. At 38, Victoria was stunning in that polished, Instagram-perfect way. Every hair in place, makeup flawless, smile practiced. I was at the funeral, Victoria. I've been here the whole time. Really? Could have fooled me. Then again, you've always been good at disappearing when responsibility calls. The nearby guests pretended not to listen, but I could see them leaning closer. That's not fair, I said quietly. I wanted to help with Mom's treatment. Help? Victoria's voice rose. You call that experimental nonsense help? Where were you when she needed real treatment? Real care? I offered to pay. Pay? She laughed bitterly. With what? Your middle management salary? While I built a multi-million-dollar company, you stayed in your safe little cubicle. The room had gone silent. Everyone was watching now. Victoria, this isn't the time. The slap came out of nowhere, the sound echoing through the quiet room. My cheek burned as Victoria stood there, hands still raised. You're worthless, she screamed. You couldn't even pay for Mom's treatment. You let her die. I touched my cheek, feeling the heat of the impact in the eyes of everyone in the room. Some looked shocked. Others seemed almost satisfied, as if I deserved it. Get out, Victoria hissed. Get out of my house. You're not family. You're nothing. I looked around the room, at the faces I'd known for years, the people who'd watched us grow up. Not one person spoke up. Not one person defended me. Without a word, I turned and walked out. But as I reached my car, I pulled out my phone and made a call. James, it's Elena. Remember that analysis you did on Matthews Beauty? I want everything: financial reports, market position, debt structure, everything. Sure, boss. But I thought you said it was too personal. That was before. Things have changed. As I drove home, my cheek still stinging, I smiled. Victoria had always underestimated me, seeing only what she wanted to see. She had no idea that my safe little cubicle job was actually me running Eclipse Capital, one of the most successful private equity firms in the city. And she definitely didn't know that her precious Matthews Beauty was in trouble. Big trouble. Over the next few weeks, I buried myself in work, analyzing every aspect of Victoria's company. The picture wasn't pretty. Despite its glamorous facade, Matthew's Beauty was drowning in debt. Victoria's extravagant lifestyle and poor business decisions had left the company vulnerable. "Look at these numbers," James said, spreading reports across my desk. "They're behind on payments to suppliers. Customer complaints are up 300%, and their main manufacturing partner is threatening to pull out. What's their cash position?" "Critical. They need about $3.8 million to stay afloat and fast. Banks won't touch them. Their credit rating is shot." I leaned back in my chair, thinking, who else knows? It's not public yet, but word's getting around. Victoria's been trying to find investors, but her reputation. I nodded. Victoria's diva behavior and treatment of business partners was legendary. No serious investor would risk their money on her. "What about their brand value?" James pulled up another report. "Still strong. Despite everything, the brand has loyal customers with proper management and restructuring. It could be salvaged." I finished. "Prepare a takeover proposal. But James, use our shell company. I don't want my name anywhere near this." The next day, Victoria received a letter from Blue Harbor Investments, one of our acquisition vehicles, expressing interest in buying Matthew's Beauty. The timing was perfect. That morning, their biggest supplier had publicly announced they were cutting ties. I watched from my office as Victoria's carefully constructive world began to crumble. The business news picked up the supplier's story. Matthew's Beauty's stock price plummeted. Customers began questioning product availability. Victoria's assistant, whom we quietly approached, kept us informed. Victoria was desperate, calling every contact she had, but no one would help. Her reputation had finally caught up with her. 2 weeks after Mom's funeral, Victoria received another letter from Blue Harbor Investments. A formal offer, $3.8 million for full ownership. Far less than what the company was worth at its peak, but more than fair given its current state. The assistant forwarded us Victoria's reaction, a thrown vase, screaming, "Finally tears." But she had no choice. Bills were piling up, employees were nervous, and products weren't being manufactured. The day of the signing, I watched through the security cameras as Victoria entered our lawyer's office. She looked different, tired, stressed, her designer outfit slightly wrinkled. She didn't know she was in my building, sitting in my company's conference room. "Ms. Matthews," our lawyer began, "you understand that by signing these documents, you're transferring full ownership of Matthew's Beauty to Blue Harbor Investments." Victoria nodded stiffly. "I understand. But what about my role? I'm still the face of the brand. The new owners will make those decisions after the transfer is complete." She signed the papers, her hand shaking slightly. As she stood to leave, she asked one final question. "Will you tell me who they are? The new owners?" The lawyer smiled politely. "They prefer to remain anonymous for now." After she left, I stepped into the conference room and picked up the signed documents. My sister's signature was right there, unknowingly signing her company over to me. "Should we tell her?" James asked. "Not yet," I replied. "First, we fix the company. Then we'll see about fixing the family." That night, I sat in my office looking at 2 photos on my desk. One was of Mom, taken before she got sick, smiling and full of life. The other was of Victoria and me as children, arms around each other, both grinning without a care in the world. "I'm sorry, Mom," I whispered. But sometimes, lessons need to be learned the hard way. The next phase of my plan was about to begin, and Victoria's education in humility was just getting started. The transformation of Matthew's Beauty began immediately. As the new owner, my first action was to audit every aspect of the company. What we found was worse than expected. Victoria hadn't just been negligent, she'd been reckless. "Look at these expenses," James said, spreading documents across my desk. Personal shopping trips classified as market research. A vacation home in the Hamptons listed as a corporate retreat facility. She even charged her dogs rooming to the company account. I rubbed my temples. What about the actual products? That's the interesting part. The formulas are solid. The problem was manufacturing and distribution. Victoria cut corners to fund her lifestyle, which led to quality control issues. A week after the takeover, I decided to visit the Matthews Beauty offices incognito. Dressed in a simple business suit, I introduced myself as Elena Parker, the new CEO appointed by Blue Harbor Investments. Victoria's former assistant, Sarah, gave me a tour. "It's been chaos since Ms. Matthews left," she confided. "Nobody knows what's happening, and morale is low." "And Victoria? Has she tried to contact the office?" Sarah nodded. "Every day, she keeps demanding to speak to the new owners. Yesterday, she showed up drunk, screaming about her legacy being stolen. I made a mental note to increase security. The employee meeting I called that afternoon was revealing. Years of Victoria's toxic leadership had left the staff demoralized. But they were talented. They had ideas, innovations Victoria had dismissed because they weren't glamorous enough. From today, I announced, things will be different. Merit, not favoritism, will drive decisions. We're investing in quality control, employee training, and product development. The hope in their eyes was palpable. That evening, as I was leaving the office, my phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "Whoever you are, you're destroying everything I built." "Show your face, coward." I smiled and deleted the message. The next few weeks were intense. We overhauled the manufacturing process, negotiated with suppliers, and launched an internal review of all products. The company began to stabilize. Then came the video. Victoria, clearly emotional, posted a tearful Instagram story. "They stole my company, my dream. These vulture capitalists don't understand beauty, don't understand what Matthews Beauty means to people." The post went viral in our industry circles. Comments flooded in, mostly supporting Victoria, until our PR team released a simple statement. Matthews Beauty's new management is focused on quality, sustainability, and employee welfare. We discovered concerning practices under previous leadership, including misappropriation of funds and compromised product safety standards. Our priority is protecting our customers and employees. Attached were selected documents showing Victoria's mismanagement. The tide of public opinion quickly turned. That afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor, Victoria's ex-husband, Michael, who had served as the company's CFO before their divorce. "Elena," he said, stepping into my office. "I heard rumors that Eclipse Capital was behind the takeover, but it was you all along, wasn't it?" I hadn't seen Michael since the divorce 3 years ago. He'd always been kind to me, even when Victoria wasn't. "How did you figure it out?" He smiled. "The changes you're making, they're exactly what I tried to suggest years ago, before Victoria fired me for questioning her vision. Does she know?" "No. She's too caught up in her own narrative to see what's right in front of her." He paused. "The slap at the funeral. I saw the video. Someone posted it online." I froze. "What?" "One of the guests recorded it. Victoria's been trying to get it taken down, claiming it makes her look bad." He laughed bitterly. "She still doesn't understand that her actions made her look bad, not the video." I opened my laptop and found the clip easily. There I was, standing quietly, while my sister screamed and slapped me. The comments were brutal, many recognizing Victoria as the CEO who had just lost her company. "Are you going to tell her?" Michael asked. "Eventually. But first, I want her to learn something about value, real value, not just market value." He nodded. "Well, if you need any insight into the company's history, call me." I kept detailed records. After you left, I sat in silence, thinking about our conversation. Victoria had always surrounded herself with people who could help her succeed, like Michael, with his financial expertise. But she discarded them all, believing she was the only one who mattered. The next morning, Sarah rushed into my office. "Ms. Parker, there's a situation downstairs. Ms. Matthews is here with reporters." I checked the security feed. Victoria stood in the lobby, surrounded by cameras, giving what appeared to be an impromptu press conference. "And I demand to speak to the real owners. They're hiding because they know what they did was wrong. This company is my life." I pressed the intercom. "Security, please escort Ms. Matthews and the media off the premises. Remind them this is private property. As they were let out, Victoria looked directly at the security camera, as if she could see me. Her expression was pure hatred. "It's time," I said to James, who had been watching silently. "Prepare the presentation for tomorrow's board meeting. Include everything, the audit results, the turnaround plan, and our new corporate structure." "You sure?" I touched my cheek, remembering the slap. Yes, it's time Victoria learned who's really worthless. The board meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. I arrived early, watching through my office window as the board members filed into the building. These were mostly people Victoria had charmed and manipulated over the years. Wealthy investors drawn in by her charisma, but now increasingly concerned about their investments. At 8:55, Victoria stormed into the building, uninvited but expected. She'd received an anonymous tip about the meeting, exactly as I planned. "Ms. Matthews, you can't go in there," Sarah called out, playing her part perfectly. "Watch me. That's done my name on the building." I straightened my jacket and checked my reflection. Gone was the simple outfit from Mom's funeral. Today, I wore power, a tailored channel suit, Louboutin heels, and my grandmother's pearls. It was time to show Victoria who her worthless sister had become. I entered the boardroom, just as Victoria was demanding to be heard. The board members looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats. "Who are you?" Victoria spun toward me, then froze. The color drained from her face. "Elena." "Good morning, everyone," I said calmly, taking my place at the head of the table. "I believe some introductions are in order. I'm Elena Matthews, CEO of Eclipse Capital and the new owner of Matthews Beauty." The room erupted in whispers. Victoria's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. "You!" she finally managed. "This is impossible. You're nothing. You're worthless?" I smiled. "That's what you said at Mom's funeral, right before you slapped me. Would anyone like to see the video?" James dimmed the lights and played the clip on the presentation screen. Victoria watched in horror as her actions were displayed for the entire board. "Now," I continued after the video ended, "let's discuss the real reason we're here, the audit of Matthews Beauty under its previous leadership." For the next hour, I methodically presented our findings. Victoria's unauthorized expenses, the quality control issues, the toxic work environment. With each revelation, she seemed to shrink further into her chair. "This is a lie," she tried to interrupt. "You're trying to destroy me." "No, Victoria, you did that yourself." I pulled up a particular expense report. "Would anyone like to explain why the company paid for weekly spa treatments for Ms. Matthews' dog while our employees went without health insurance?" One board member, Mr. Harrison, cleared his throat. "Ms. Matthews, Elena, what are your plans for the company?" I clicked to the next slide. "Full restructuring. We've already implemented new quality control measures. Employee benefits have been restored. Our manufacturing partnerships are being rebuilt. In just 3 weeks, we've cut unnecessary expenses by 60% while increasing production efficiency by 35%. Victoria suddenly stood. "This is my company, my name. You can't just—" "Actually, I can, and I did. Legally and fairly." I turned to face her directly. "Remember Mom's funeral? How do you said I couldn't even pay for her treatment? Let me tell you what really happened. I offered to pay for everything. The experimental treatment, the best doctors, all of it. But you convinced her it wasn't prestigious enough. You wanted her to stick with your chosen doctors, the ones who made you look good at charity events." The board members stared at Victoria now, seeing her in a new light. "And while you were building your empire," I continued, "I was building something too. Eclipse Capital has acquired and transformed dozens of companies. We have a 92% success rate in turning around failing businesses. Matthews Beauty is just the latest addition to our portfolio." "Why?" Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. "Why did you do this?" "Because sometimes the only way to help someone is to take away everything they hide behind." I softened my tone slightly. "You're talented, Victoria. Your original product formulas prove that. but you lost your way, thinking success meant crushing others, including your sister. Mr. Harrison spoke again. What role will Ms. Matthews have in the company moving forward? I picked up a folder from the table. That depends on her. Inside this folder is a proposal, a position in product development. No management responsibilities, no public role, just focusing on what she actually does well. The choice is hers. Victoria stared at the folder like it might bite her. You expect me to work for you, my little sister? No, I expect you to work for Matthews Beauty. The company Mom remortgaged her house to help you start. The choice is yours. Stay and rebuild, or walk away with your settlement. The room was silent as Victoria picked up the folder with trembling hands. She opened it, read the first page, then looked up at me with tears in her eyes. The salary. It's less than what I spent on handbags last month. It's a fair market rate for the position, plus performance bonuses if products succeed. I paused. It's a chance to earn back respect, Victoria. Real respect, not fear or manipulation. She sank back into her chair, clutching the folder. For the first time since we were children, I saw my sister's mask completely fall away. I need time to think, she whispered. Take the weekend, but Victoria. I waited until she met my eyes. This is your only chance. On Monday, either show up ready to work and learn or don't show up at all. As the board members filed out, many stopping to congratulate me, Victoria remained seated, staring at the proposal. Just before I left the room, she spoke. Elena? I turned. The slap at the funeral. Save it, I said quietly. Show me you're sorry through actions, not words. That's what Mom always taught us, remember? As I walked back to my office, I felt lighter somehow. The past 2 months had been about more than just business. They'd been about finally standing up for myself, for the truth, and maybe, just maybe, for the sister I used to know before success poisoned her. Now it was up to Victoria to decide who she really wanted to be. Monday morning arrived with a sense of anticipation. I stood at my office window, watching the early arrivals stream into the building. At exactly 8:55 a.m., a familiar figure approached the entrance. Victoria, dressed simply in black slacks and a white blouse, carrying a small laptop bag instead of her usual designer tote. She'd made her choice. The first month was awkward. Victoria struggled to adjust to her new role, working in a small office in the product development department. No assistant, no executive privileges, just her and her formulation skills. I watched through security cameras as she initially sat alone at lunch, other employees avoiding her after years of her tyranny. But slowly, things began to change. Miss Matthews, Elena. Sarah reported one afternoon. The development team says Victoria's actually helping. She stayed late with Amy, perfecting a new serum formula. I nodded, unsurprised. Before money and fame corrupted her, Victoria had been brilliant at product development. It was why Mom had believed in her so strongly. 3 months after the takeover, I received an unexpected delivery, a small box with familiar handwriting. Inside was Mom's old recipe book, filled with her homemade beauty remedies that had inspired Victoria's first products. A note fell out. Elna, remember when we used to help Mom mix these in the kitchen? Before I forgot what mattered, I found this while clearing out my condo, downsizing. Turns out I don't need 6 bedrooms. Some of these can make amazing natural product lines if you're interested. I smiled, remembering those Sunday afternoons in Mom's kitchen, the scent of essential oils and herbs filling the air. Victoria and I, working together, laughing together. The next day, I visited the product development department, unannounced. Victoria was at a lab table, hair tied back, safety goggles on, carefully measuring ingredients. No designer clothes, no pretense, just focused work. She looked up as I approached. Elena? I wasn't sure you got the book. I did. I pulled up a stool. Tell me about these natural formulas you're thinking of. For the next hour, Victoria excitedly explained her ideas for a new line based on Mom's recipes, elevated with modern science. Her eyes sparkled with genuine passion, not the artificial enthusiasm she used to show at PR events. "There's just one thing," she said hesitantly. I think, I think we should call it Grace's Garden. After Mom?" She nodded. She was the one who taught us both about beauty, real beauty, inside and out. Before I forgot that lesson. 6 months after the takeover, Matthews Beauty launched Grace's Garden, a natural skincare line that became our best seller. Victoria worked alongside the team with no special treatment, earning respect through dedication rather than intimidation. At the launch event, I watched her present a line to beauty editors and influencers. Gone was the arrogant CEO. In her place stood a passionate formulator, explaining the science and story behind each product. As the event wound down, Victoria approached me, holding 2 cups of champagne. "Remember when we were kids, drinking Mom's sparkling apple juice, pretending it was champagne?" I took a glass. "You always said you'd have real champagne at your fancy parties. And now look at us." She paused. "Thank you, Elena, for not giving up on me. For being a better sister than I deserved. You know what Mom always said? Family is like a good face cream. It works best when all the ingredients work together." Victoria finished laughing. God, we thought that was so cheesy. She was right, though. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the sunset through the office windows. The Matthews Beauty logo glowed against the darkening sky, but now it stood for something different. Not one sister's empire, but two sisters' redemption. "Elena," Victoria said softly, "I'm sorry about the slap. About everything." I touched my cheek, remembering. "I know, sometimes we need to lose everything to find what matters. Like family?" Like family. We clinked our glasses, two sisters standing together, finally understanding that true worth isn't measured in dollars or status, but in the ability to learn, grow, and forgive. Mom would have been proud.